It says.
Okay, I pushed connect, so.
Okay, it says excellent connection.
Awesome.
So we'll see.
I'm gonna look on my phone because I can't look at the computer.
I just see the software. Oh, there. I see me.
Can we hear you, though?
I don't know. That's the question.
I'm going to turn on my cell phone a second and see. Or if anybody else wants to answer that.
Alright, let's see. I'll go in here and edit some things real quick.
Or if anybody else can hear us. Say something.
Yeah. Let's see.
Yep, they can hear us.
Good.
That's fine, Greg. Well, you wanted me on the talk anyway, so. Yeah. This is just. Oh, you're fine, Greg. Sorry, answering a comment.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm still trying to get things set up here on my end. I'm a little flustered after the audio wouldn't work.
Hey, it's okay. We found a way to make it work.
I know. Thank goodness for you.
I was gonna joke, 5 years of gaming live streaming. I got this now. Oh, hi everybody. I'm the person that cooks on Murder and Mysteries and Dinner. Yay!
Yeah, definitely go and thank Pixel Gamer Girls for helping me out tonight. We wouldn't be on here if it weren't for her. So
yeah.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
So
there we go.
Okay. Oh, they may. Okay. All right. Well, hopefully that rumor is true, Greg. I'm hoping and praying that they do. Today, I wanted to jump on here because, of course, this case is constantly updating and there's always new information coming out about it. So just wanted to kind of go into it. Of course, before you guys head out, make sure to hit that subscribe button and post notification bell. So that way, if I'm able to figure out audio and we go live again, then you guys won't miss it.
Well, we'll figure it out this weekend.
Yeah. In today's live, we're going to be talking about a very recent case that, of course, is all over the nation about a young woman named Gabrielle Petito. She was 22 years old and went on a cross-country trip in a van with her boyfriend slash fiance, Brian Laundrie, who was 23. The trip began at the beginning of July, and they left from Northport, Florida, heading west to Kansas, Colorado, Utah, and Wyoming throughout their travels. But on September 1st, Laundrie actually returned to Florida without Gabby. 10 days later, her parents reported her missing. After that, the police department actually seized the van from Laundrie's residence, but only a couple of weeks later, Brian Laundrie is also missing. So what happened? Let's find out. We're going to go ahead and go over the timeline first, but of course, I wanted to kind of go over some points here. Due to the fact that there are constant updates on this case, that's why I figured it would be a great time to go live on my channel to talk about it, so that way I could get as much up-to-date information as possible out to everyone. I have included all of the most recent information that I was able to find. Of course, I'll continue to monitor any updates on anything that has been going on. And also, of course, if you have any information on the whereabouts of Brian Laundrie, make sure to contact 1-800-CALL-FBI or call the Northport PD at 941-429-7382. So without further ado, let's get on about the facts of this case. Looking at Gabby's social media accounts, different news stations, and everything that's been released on this case, that is where I have gathered all of my information. Now, of course, this is something that there's been some information out there from a friend of Gabby's. A friend of hers came forward stating that Brian was actually quite controlling in their relationship. In fact, that he didn't only portray the control and jealousy in the relationship. But according to what Gabby allegedly told her friend, was that Brian would experience episodes where he would hear voices and not be able to sleep and things like that. In the past, that he had even stolen Gabby's ID to ensure that she couldn't go out with her friends to bars. Sometimes things would even escalate to the point where Gabby felt the need to get out of the house and go stay with friends of hers. Quote, Gabby had to stay at my house a bunch of times because she just needed a breather and didn't want to go home to him. She also added, he had this composure as a sweet, nice, caring guy, but you could tell he's a little off, a little weird. Like he'd set up our hammocks when we would go to the beach, but he wouldn't even sit with us, which I thought was bizarre. Even going on to state that she believed that Brian was trying to isolate Gabby from everyone as well. Quote, I'm her only friend in Florida to my knowledge, and that's not because she can't make friends. He just didn't want her to have any. He was always worried that she was going to leave him. It was a constant thing to try to get us to stop hanging out, end quote. Now, this particular friend, Rose Davis, well, she's the one that Gabby was supposed to meet up with during their trip to Yellowstone National Park for her birthday on August 29th. But she actually never heard from Gabby. She stated that this was really out of character for Gabby and that typically she would have called or said something, but she never even got a happy birthday text or anything. Strange, right? So what happened this summer that led up to her disappearance? Well, let's start out. So on July 2nd, Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie left from Northport, Florida, to head out on their road trip across the U.S. towards the west, where they would travel from campsite to campsite, visiting different national parks and landmarks in Colorado, Utah, etc. They were traveling in Gabby's white Ford van at this time. And there's also been statements that Gabby had actually quit her job and as a nutritionist to go on the road and to record her travels. July 4th, Gabby posted photos to her Instagram account of her at Monument Rocks in Kansas, located between Colby and Garden City. On July 8th, the next set of photos posted to her Instagram shows that on this day she was in Colorado Springs. July 10th, Gabby's Instagram shows they were at Great Sand Dunes National Park, not far from Colorado Springs. July 11th, Gabby actually posted another photo of the Great Sand Dunes National Park in Colorado. However, her caption read, last day in Colorado, then an arrow pointing to Utah. On July 16th, this was the next post on Gabby's Instagram feed. This time it showed that they were at Zion National Park and had been there for a couple of nights at this point. It appears from her Instagram feed that the two of them were in Zion National Park in Utah from the 14th, and her last photos of them were on July 18th there. On July 21st, this particular post on Gabby's Instagram shows them in Bryce Canyon National Park. However, her caption to this photo is this, such a beautiful drive here. Again, with places that they had visited on the way to Bryce Canyon. These were Zion, Cedar Breaks, and Bryce Canyon. She also posted another set of photos on July 22nd from Bryce Canyon to her Instagram. On July 26th, at this point, her Instagram, Gabby shares photos from Mystic Hot Springs Campground in Monroe, Utah. On the 30th of July, the following set of photos posted were from Canyonlands National Park. However, the caption on these photos is completely different from all the other posts that she had previously posted to her feed. Typically, she had short captions like the ones we talked about. However, this particular one goes on and on and on, and it goes on about Brian hiking barefoot during their hike and how people would be shocked by it. I just thought this might be something to note. On July 31st, another post to her Instagram account shows them in Canyonlands, still in Mesa Arch. It wasn't until August 12th that there would be another feed post on Gabby's Instagram. This time, the post was from Arches National Park, right near Moab in Utah. These posts were again like the ones from July 30th, where the captions were incredibly long and tagged Brian's Instagram. Also, we know that this is the day that Gabby and Brian were actually pulled over by the Moab PD. So what happened and why did they get pulled over? Well, as we know, recently there was a 911 call that was released, which I actually posted in a short on my channel as well. If you want to check that out, I'll try to link it after we're done here. But before that, all we had known was the body cam footage. And according to that body cam footage, on August 12th, both Gabby and Brian had been pulled over in Moab by the Moab PD. They had received a call of a possible domestic altercation between the two. As the police officer was following the van after receiving the call, Brian, who was driving at the time, hit a curb. This is when police officers went ahead and pulled the two over in the white Ford Transit van that they had been traveling in together. During the stop, the officer noted that Gabby was visibly upset. In fact, he asked Gabby to exit the vehicle and speak with him in private while Brian stayed at the van. According to eyewitness account, the couple had been visibly arguing. Gabby had hit Brian. Brian then pushed Gabby back, got into the van, and locked her out of the vehicle. Then Gabby actually jumped in through the driver's side window, got in the vehicle before they took off. However, like I said, there was a 911 call that was released later on stating that Brian was actually the one that had been assaulting Gabby. At this point, once the PD had actually questioned both Gabby and Brian, Gabby stated in the video that she had OCD. Sometimes she could get very overwhelmed by things not being a certain way. Of course, Brian, in the meantime, was saying, yes, she's crazy. She's just, she's particular about things like that. But I haven't told you guys this before, but me being a victim of domestic assault myself in the past, when I saw that body cam footage, I immediately knew that wasn't the whole story. You could tell just by Gabby's demeanor and the way that Brian was acting, trying to blame Gabby for everything and pushing it all on. It was her fault. She pulled the wheel. She did this. She did that. And a lot of the times, unfortunately, that does happen in abusive relationships and situations. And my heart sunk when I saw the body cam footage initially. I knew something wasn't right. But regardless of whatever started the fight, whether it was sand, a cell phone, etc., the fact that the two had been together too much and didn't have enough space, and the toll of being on the road was getting to them. They were not clearly getting along. During the stop, the police officers actually told Gabby that this was a very toxic relationship and maybe they needed to have some space. No charges were filed, and it turns out that Gabby stayed in the van that night, and supposedly Brian had gotten a hotel room that the police officers had reached out and tried to arrange for him. Now, the police officer, Daniel Robbins, who wrote his police report, stated, after evaluating the totality of the circumstances, I do not believe the situation escalated to the level of domestic assault as much as it did of that of a mental health crisis. During the time that they were pulled over, there were also statements made by Petito and Laundrie, both that Gabby was worried that Brian would just up and leave her in the middle of nowhere with no ride home or a way to get home. Gabby had also mentioned when she first started talking that she was really upset, but that also not only because the OCD, but because the fact that Brian was just really negative about things, that she had quit her job as a nutritionist to pursue a job traveling and doing the blog/social media things during their travels, but that he was not supportive and didn't think that she could do it. Now, moving on to August 17th through 23rd, it looks like at this point in time, Brian actually flew back to Northport, Florida to help his father move some of his and Gabby's things into storage. However, Gabby's family has mentioned that they're suspicious as to why they decided to move these things in the middle of the road trip, and why was it necessary for it to be done right then and there. Gabby's mother has also asked where her things have been moved to and where are they. On August 19th, another post was made on Gabby's Instagram. However, this particular post did not include any tags as to where she was located during this time, similar to the following post that she would make on August 25th. But according to records, we know that she was actually staying at the Fairfield Inn and Suites in Salt Lake City, Utah. And she actually didn't check out of here until the 24th, the day after Brian returned. They also actually posted their very first video on YouTube, and I can link that in the description as well once we're finished here. On August 24th, Brian, of course, is back in Salt Lake City, Utah at this point, where Gabby had been staying at the Fairfield Inn and Suites, and the two of them checked out. The following day, August 25th, was her last post on Instagram. The photo was from August 25th, appears that she is in front of a monarch mural that is located in Ogden, Utah. However, as I mentioned before, there were no tags as to where the couple was at this time, which was really strange since she had tagged each and every other post of hers. And the caption on this one, it simply says, "Happy Halloween." This was also the last post that was made to her Instagram before she was reported missing a few weeks later. She also spoke with her mother and her family on FaceTime on either August 24th or 25th. There has been some conflicting statements on this. She was letting them know that she was in Grand Teton National Park during this time. On August 27th, there was actually a video that was taken by a YouTuber here, Red, White, and Bethune, which is another travel channel. They uploaded this video, of course, weeks later, of footage of the van that Gabby and Brian had been in. It looked like no one had been in the vehicle, stating that they could have been on a hike and left the van there during that time. On August 29th, a woman named Miranda Baker and her boyfriend actually picked up Brian Laundrie near Grand Teton National Park near Coulter Bay. According to Baker's post on TikTok, which were uploaded actually earlier this week, Brian had approached the couple asking for a ride and offering to pay them $200 to take him somewhere. They, of course, thought this was strange since they weren't going very far. They were just going down to Jackson Hole, aka Jackson. However, the couple decided to go ahead and give Laundrie a ride. However, while they were in the car with Laundrie, she stated that he had told them about how he and his fiance had been traveling and camping, but that he'd gone off by himself for the last few days to camp on his own, only with a tarp to sleep on, and that Gabby had been back at the campsite where the van was located, and she was working on their social media videos and platform. But when they spoke again about going to Jackson Hole, suddenly he got agitated and adamant about getting out of the vehicle. At this point, they are at the Jackson Dam and pull over to let him out. She also added that during their drive, that something else struck her as odd. For someone who had been out hiking and camping for days on end, he didn't appear dirty, he didn't smell bad, and he didn't have much equipment or camping gear with him. On August 30th, Gabrielle Petito's family actually received a text from her phone that simply stated no service in Yosemite. Now, Yosemite is a 40-hour drive according to Google Maps, but yet less than 48 hours later, on September 1st, Laundrie was back in Northport, Florida in the van that he and Gabby had been in, and Gabby wasn't with him, of course. On September 11th, Gabrielle Petito's family actually filed a missing persons report around 7 p.m. that evening in Suffolk County, New York. They hadn't heard from her since August 30th, and hadn't spoken with her in person since August 25th on FaceTime. They also made the statement, "I believe she's in danger because she's not in touch with us. She could be alone somewhere. She could be stranded somewhere in the wilderness, and she needs our help." They hadn't actually spoken on the phone with her, like I mentioned, since August 25th, and had only received a couple of text messages later on. Of course, we find out later that one of the text messages that was sent was referring to a family member of hers as Stan, and that's not something she ever did, and that's why her family didn't believe that she had sent that message. Now, during this time, Gabby's family also reached out to Brian and his family, trying to find out any information on where Gabby was, where he saw her last, but to no avail. When the police department arrived at Laundrie's home after the missing persons report was filed to try to speak with him, they stated that they were essentially handed something, simply stating that if they wanted to talk about it, they would have to contact Laundrie's attorney, nothing more. On September 15th, Northport PD actually took over the investigation in her disappearance, and they named Brian Laundrie as a person of interest. However, even though Laundrie has been uncooperative, the PD were able to get the van that they had been traveling in to investigate it. They did state that the vehicle has been processed and that there was some material in there that they were looking through. The police chief also tweeted to Laundrie's attorney, Mr. Stephen Bertolano, Esquire, the Northport police need your help in finding Gabby Petito. Please call us to arrange a conversation with Brian Laundrie. 2 people left on a trip and 1 person returned. Hashtag where's Gabby? Hashtag find Gabby. Hashtag FBI Tampa. Hashtag Gabby Petito. End quote. September 16th. A letter from Petito family read by their attorney begged Brian and his family to please help in the investigation. Quote, please, if you or your family have any decency left, please tell us where Gabby is located. Tell us if we are even looking in the right place. All we want is for Gabby to come home. Please help us make that happen. We haven't been able to eat or sleep, and our lives are falling apart. Petito's family has tried reaching out to the Laundries, however, of course, to no avail. On September 17th, after refusing to assist the FBI and Northport PD in locating Gabby, Brian Laundrie's family finally contacted them to talk. However, when the police arrived at Laundrie's residence, they were informed that Brian had been missing since Tuesday and that no one had seen him or heard from him since then. And they also wanted to file a missing persons report on him. So after being in town from September 1st, avoiding the police investigation in any way, shape, or form, only making brief statements through his attorney, he too went missing on September 14th. Of course, after this happened, police questioned his family as to where he was, and they're actively looking for him in Carlton Reserve. Now, as of yesterday, they had stated that they had exhausted all avenues in searching for him in this area, but today they actually resumed the search, looking further into the 25,000 acres that are there at Carlton Reserve. On September 19th, a body was found in the area that they were searching for Gabby. During the press conference, they stated that the remains found in that area did match Gabby's description. However, at that point, they didn't confirm anything, but did state that the family had been notified and that they do believe it was her. Her father or stepfather also posted a photograph on his Facebook stating that she touched the world, and it was a picture of Gabby standing in front of an angel wing mural. On September 20th, just yesterday, the FBI announced that a search warrant was given, and they actually removed Chris and Roberta Laundrie from their Northport home that they shared with Gabby and Brian. And they have declared that the place where the body matching Gabby's description is now a crime scene. They and the PD also stated that the location that they had been searching for Brian has been searched, and they believe he may be in another area than where his family had reported to the police department. Also, a 911 caller, this is when that was released, they stated that they had heard Brian slapping Gabby, or seen Brian slapping Gabby. Now, on September 21st, today, the autopsy on the remains found actually did match Gabrielle Petito. Now, it could be up to 2 weeks before it's actually concluded, and the full results will be available. However, preliminary findings do believe it is a homicide. The official cause of death has not yet been released. At this point, of course, this is the timeline that we have. There have been some possible sightings of Brian near his parents' home in Northport after he went missing. One source stating that he had been seen walking in the woods behind his parents' house only an hour and a half before the attorney reported him missing. There was another one who took a photo of a man who appeared to look an awfully lot like Brian Laundrie, according to the police who looked at the photo, but it hasn't been confirmed. There were also tips that he could have been in Alabama. They actually found remains there, but that was not his, according to the police department. There have also been other sightings and tips that have come in. However, at this point, it seems that none of those have been able to be confirmed. So that's kind of where we are as far as the timeline goes. I'm sure that many of you know about the two women that were also killed in Moab, Crystal Turner and Kylan Schulte. Now, they were shot to death with multiple gunshot wounds. Both were undressed from the waist down and were found in the creek. They had actually texted friends of theirs saying that a creepy man had been around their campsite. Now, police have said that they believe it's an isolated incident and that they don't think that the two are connected. But my personal opinion, I think it's a little soon to possibly rule that out. But, you know, we'll just see. They know a lot more information, of course, than we do as the public. But one of the girls' fathers that was shot and killed actually did state online that he was really disappointed by the fact that they ruled out the connection completely to Gabby and her case. So anyways, that's what we have today. What do you guys think on this case? What are your thoughts and opinions? Do you believe that, you know, Brian potentially took the life of Gabby? What are you guys thinking on this case in particular? And have you heard any more updates that I potentially have missed here in just the last couple of hours?
I forget, did you mention he was reading that really shady book?
No, I did not actually. That I've not talked about theories and stuff yet at this point. I kind of just went through the timeline and the facts in this case so far. But as Heather mentioned, there was a book that Brian was reading that you can see in the YouTube video that was uploaded on the Nomadic Static channel that they had started during their travels. This book was called Annihilation. Now, in this particular book, there were 4 different women that went missing and found dead later on. And some people think that it is connected to what happened and why they believe that there is a connection to the other 2 women in Moab that did lose their lives as well as Gabrielle. Because that would be the first 2, Gabrielle would be the 3rd, and potentially he could be out there looking for a 4th victim. Now, again, like I said, these are just theories that have been circulating around online, as many others have been, but that one was quite interesting to say the least. And the connection there, you know, they were only 5 miles away from where Gabby and Brian had been camping during that time period as well. Let's see. I'm going to go through some of the comments here and see. Yes, hooray, audio. I'm so glad that it's working. Hey, Lyrical. I knew there might be a rumor there. So, yes, there are very many rumors out there, Greg. That's 100% true. And that's why I wanted to get on here and mostly talk about the timeline and what we know for a fact at this point, and what's been released by, you know, the FBI or the police officers that have been investigating this case. I don't want it to get muddied. And to be completely honest with you, I didn't want to go over too many of the theories that were out there because I don't want to cause harm to the prosecution and the case that they potentially have or are building for Gabrielle. That's something that, you know, I want whoever did this to her, whether it be Brian, which hasn't been proven yet, but we all know kind of where those feelings lie with that. But, I don't want to have any of this speculation going around that could possibly, cause any problems later on in the investigation, because I have the most dang it, I can't even speak, can I? I have the utmost respect for her family, and my heart goes out to them. And being a mother myself, I cannot imagine the pain and, like, I'm getting teary-eyed and I'm getting choked up thinking about it, but about having to lose my child and burying them and not being able to see them grow up, get married, do all the things they're supposed to do. A parent isn't supposed to bury their child. And, I want that if by chance any of her family does see this video, that I respect her, and I am so incredibly sorry. And my thoughts and my prayers are with you and all of your family during this difficult time. And I hope that they catch the person who did it, because she deserves justice, and your family deserves answers and closure of sorts. So let's see. Thank you for being here for support, Queen Bee. I appreciate it. Okay, so there's not been any new news at this point. So good. I'm glad I was able to get the most up-to-date stuff. I was here adding notes before we jumped on live to make sure I didn't miss anything. So yeah, I cannot imagine the actual devastation that they're going through. I mean, I can't even fathom it, in all honesty. Anytime that I hear that, I know that when my daughter was about 10 months old, she had a seizure, and it was a febrile seizure. Her fever had spiked up to like 104, and she went into a seizure, her body trying to calm down. They could not get her out of the seizure at all. In fact, they had to give her an adult dose of, what is it? What is the muscle relaxer, not Klonopin or something like that, but it's another type of medication like that they gave to her, and they had to give her an adult dose because her body was not coming out of the seizure. And that was scary enough. I cannot imagine knowing that something had happened to my child and I had to bury them. I couldn't do it. I think I would lose my mind. And my heart, it's breaking. And I think that is one of the biggest reasons that this story has captured the nation as it has, is because so many people feel that and just can't imagine the pain that her family is going through. And the fact that he is now missing and running from consequences and giving answers to the family is absolutely pathetic and disgusting, in my opinion. No, I agree, Lyrical. No one should ever have to go through that at all. Well, do you guys have any questions or anything to add to this case? Heather and I did want to make a little bit of a announcement for next month before we jump off here today. So I guess it's a good thing that we did the audio through you, Heather.
Yep.
Because now we can just make it easy with our announcement here.
Yeah.
But just want to make sure nobody has anything to say or add or anything at all, potentially.
I don't know. I just know that the moment I heard he wasn't talking, he was advised not to talk, my little brain was like, okay, he frickin' did it. I'm sorry. Like, that wasn't white flag number,
Oh, yeah. It's like I mentioned before. And I think it's just because I saw the signs, because I have been in an abusive relationship before, and I've been in a situation like that where you're always trying to cover for them. You're making excuses, and, they make you feel like you're worthless and that you have to take all the blame for all the issues and everything like that. And I just saw that she was making those excuses for him, and he was saying, oh, she's crazy. And, she's stressed out. She's crazy. She's got OCD. Don't mind her, basically. And
I actually wrote something about that earlier, because I was saying that even people with anxiety and depression and OCD, people are always telling you, oh, just go outside more. Oh, you just want attention. Oh, well, you're crazy. It's like, oh, thanks.
Exactly. And I think that it's number one, even if she did have issues with OCD and things like that, and even I'm sure she did deal with depression and anxiety, because if you're in an abusive relationship, you do feel like that. You feel like, oh crap, how am I going to get out of this? Why do I deserve this? Did I do something wrong? So, you know, that's something that is just, it shouldn't have just been brushed off like it was. And it really kind of bothered me that it wasn't, you know, they didn't talk about it more with her, and that they just kind of brushed off, because she did mention in the body cam footage that he had grabbed her face and pushed her. So, you know, it wasn't like,
I don't know. I think it's because authorities and people in general push off abusive relationships as, oh, it's just another marital tiff until there's a body attached to it, and then it's a problem.
And it's sick, because that's not what it should take to get some sort of help and some sort of, like, I think that police officers should be trained better in seeing the signs of domestic assault and abuse and situations like that. So hopefully it doesn't escalate. And I know that there's confines of the law where they can only do so much unless they physically see things happening and there's, you know, a black eye or something like that, you know. But people that are narcissistic and abusers are going to be like my ex was, that he did it in places that no one would see. They're not always visible.
Oh, yeah. Or like I was told in my situation, well, you need to give them sex because you're dating them. It's like, oh, well, that's a great excuse. You want to know who said that? Stupid. His mom said that.
Ugh.
Yeah. It's like, that's nice.
Speaking of parents sticking up for psychos, what do we think about the parents in this situation, as Laundrie's parents? What do you guys think about that?
I think they're extra crispy psycho.
Do you think that they helped him get away?
Yeah, I really do.
I mean, that's it. I wouldn't put it past it from what I've seen. You know, and the fact that somebody witnessed seeing him behind his parents' home an hour and a half before they reported him missing, and then his family just decides to take the vehicle over to the preserve where he supposedly was.
I think they're scared of losing their child, but the problem is one family has lost their child on a level that it's never going to come back, and they're scared that since their son was a jerk, they're going to lose him on a prison level. But that's no excuse for what he did, because at that point...
Well, the thing is that, okay, like, this is speculation, of course. We don't have any proof yet at this point that he did take her life, right? But say he did. At that point, shouldn't a parent say, it's time to take responsibility and face the consequences? You made that decision, and at least you're still here. At least you're still alive. Like, that's, as a parent, that's the way they should be looking at it, is my opinion.
Yeah.
Is more like, hey, look, you know, I mean, because I always teach my kids, you screw up, you better face the consequences, because you're going to have them.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, if you don't clean your room, or if you're out in the real world and you do something stupid, you're going to have consequences, and you have to face those.
For the record, I'm not condoning what he did, and I'm not condoning that they're covering his butt. I was just explaining they feel like they're losing him too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, I totally get that. I totally get what you were saying.
Okay. I'm just putting it out there.
Oh, yeah. No. I get that completely. Let's see. It 100% does come in very, very, very many different ways.
Good.
Hello, Free to Film Florida. Who might be charged? The parents? Is that what you mean?
At this point, they probably need to. Who knows?
Well, I mean, I get where the attorney was coming from. The attorney was saying, hey, don't speak to him. You know, I get that because they were trying to build a defense, especially if he knew the true story of what really happened, right?
Yeah.
But, you know, as far as that was not good advice if he was told to get out of there, because we all know that when there is an investigation happening, you're supposed to stick around and not run off, because even at this point, if he didn't do it, it makes him look so incredibly guilty. It's crazy.
And it's like I told you earlier, if he's not guilty, okay, talk to people about it. I mean, you're not guilty, you're good. Okay.
Well, and if you had the attorney at this point, right?
Mm-hmm.
Take the attorney with you and talk. You've got your attorney there. You have the right to plead the fifth.
At this point, when they, figure this out, his parents are pretty much an accessory, I think, to murder because they're covering it up. So,
especially, well, if he's found guilty, they definitely could be charged with something like that, or at least obstruction or something to that effect.
Something like that.
So, yeah. But it's crazy. It's a crazy situation. And let's see. That is actually a really, really good point. And I wish they would have. And I think that would have kept him. There was a comment that said the cops should have charged him with stealing the van. Yeah.
That's actually true.
I completely agree. Because that was, obviously, she wasn't with him. She hadn't contacted family, and she was reported missing. So, I agree with that. I think that there was a way that they probably could have gotten around that. But I don't know. I guess that I also know that sometimes I've heard mention in the past from other officers and police officers that they don't want to pursue little bitty charges when they are skeptical and they think that there may be more to it and they want more information. Because I think at that point they were thinking, well, if we charge him, and of course they didn't know if he was going to come forward and talk. They were hoping that he would, but that's definitely going to make him shut up and not want to talk, right? As if they charge him with something.
That's pretty much like going, yeah, we think you're guilty. Here, you stole a car. Let's put you in jail for that. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I think that's where they're trying, because they're just trying to build the case against, what happened and find out. And see, they didn't have a crime technically until today when they announced it was a homicide. Obviously she was missing before, but no one knew that she was not alive any longer until they confirmed it. And I mean, we all kind of knew when they found the remains.
I was about to say they found the remains. The first thing I thought of, well, they found her.
Yeah, and that was my thought too. It was just a sinking feeling, and it was just absolutely disgusting. And I just, my heart, like thinking about not only her family but what she went through, like it just, even just being in that relationship that she was in before, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think they should have done something. I'm 100% with you. I think they should have tracked his ass. And I think that they should have watched him, and because he was the last one to see her. I mean, hello, she's missing. But I don't know. I know that things don't work the way that we always wish they would in the judicial system either, unfortunately. Yep, exactly what I was saying. It's they have to have enough to go on, and that's what sucks about it, is they can't just say, yep, you're guilty, we know you're guilty, but we don't have the proof, so we're going to arrest you anyway and monitor you. So it's difficult, and it sucks.
It's like hell. I even know that they're fake, but even crime dramas address that. Like one time on, I think it was SVU, they said, but we know he did it. And he goes, yes, but we have no evidence. We can't just arrest him for looking guilty. It's like,
exactly.
Sadly.
Exactly.
And then if they had slapped something on his ankle or given him something no track, he could actually get them in trouble for obstructing his freedoms, or I don't know. I'm not good at the law terms, but taking away some sort of stuff.
Use it, and they could definitely use it later on in court. Say that he is found, and gets charged with, if he did. I have to be careful here. Allegedly. But he did it.
Because we all know he did it at this point. It's kind of like what Lyrical just said, is the minute he ran, pretty much might as well just slap guilty on his forehead, because why would you run if you didn't do it?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't know, people just, and there were so many coincidences and strange occurrences in this case, even before they officially found Gabby, that it was just from the beginning, I was like, yep, yep. Uh-huh. I mean, we talked about it, Heather, I
Yep.
was like, there's just no way. There's no way he doesn't know what happened or was there or did something or whatever. It was one of those.
You know what? If he didn't
So,
directly do it, he knows how it happened, and he's scared of it. But he needs he needs to give this stuff up.
yeah, I know. I
Sheesh.
know. It's crazy. Well, I know we've talked a little bit here. We've been on for 45 minutes. So,
Dang.
we've talked about all the facts and things that have happened here and, everything. I just wanted to jump on here, like I said, make sure all of the up-to-date information was on here. I will, of course, be doing, some updates when we find out more information as far as when the actual cause of death was released. I'll update you guys on what's going on there, things like that. So just make sure before you head out, do hit that subscribe button and post notification bell so that if you want to keep up to date with this, that you don't miss anything when we do upload. And then also, Heather and I have some fun videos coming out next week. So, or next week, listen to me, next month.
Actually, that's almost next week, so close
Almost
enough.
next week, but not quite there yet. But we're actually going to be doing 5, hopefully, as long as nothing happens, we're going to be doing 5 different videos. We're going to be talking about some different fun things. Heather, you want to tell them what we'll be talking about?
We're going to be talking about the theories and history behind Halloween monsters, like the famous ones. We can cover vampires, zombies, werewolves. We're going to dive into some stuff about witches. And finally, on October 31st, you're going to see us get the crud scared out of us.
I know, we might have to, I'm serious, I might have to buy some Depends to wear with me because we're going ghost hunting.
Yes. And we're going to do it in a nice, respectful way, but I actually have thought that. I'm like, you and I are going to creep out on the bridge. Hello? Rah, rah! It's going to be like, yeah.
We're going to twig break from some bunny rabbit jumping in the woods, and we're going to, run.
We're going to be those people like on Ghost Hunters. If you're there, say something. Snap. Yeah. Just kidding, go back.
Yeah, we're going to be doing that. We plan on going, potentially, these are the plans. Like I said, things can change. We never know what's going to happen, but we're planning on going potentially out to Helen's Bridge, out in Asheville, North Carolina, and then we are also going to be going to potentially the Thomas Wolfe Memorial. They are both known to be very haunted. So, and then of course we'll be talking about some other fun things. Like I said, we're going to be talking about some of the traditional Halloween monsters and scary legends and all of that fun stuff and where the history of that came from. So anyways, is there anything else you'd like to add before we jump off here?
Ooh, not really, except that each monster is going to come with a delicious, fun treat, or either like food item or dessert item. Well, that's all food, but you knew what I meant. Some kind of, no, it's not going to be food. No.
Of course.
We're going to have some fun little treat that's associated with that monster. Like, I think for zombies, I have brain cupcakes, and they were really, really fun to make. So.
Yes, we're definitely going to be having lots of tricks and treats. Sorry, I couldn't resist. I had to do it.
No, it's fine.
But anyways, I hope that everybody has a wonderful evening. Stay safe out there. And again, all of my love and prayers go out to the Petito family during this difficult time. I will continue to keep you in my prayers and my thoughts, and I will keep everyone else up here updated, and hopefully we will be able to find out some answers for their family and get some justice for Gabrielle Petito. Hope everybody has a wonderful night. Bye, guys. Thanks for being here.
See ya.
Bye.
Sorry, my OBS is